Okay, y'all already know we gonna have to get a little crazy this video. Give it up for Lego Transformers Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime version 2. Let's go. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Say here. Let's get right into it. Wow. Okay, now D.O.T.M Optimus Prime here is coming in at an insane build time of 97 hours and stands at about 10 inches tall from head to toe. So we are gonna have to give him the big boy verification badge for that. Okay, now before we get into the weaponry review, if you guys are interested in having me build your favorite Lego Transformers and reviewing them on the channel here, consider becoming a Super Say. And if you too build Lego Transformers or Lego Mechs, you should definitely pop into my Lego Mech Facebook group and share your work. Alright, so we starting off light. Here we have Optimus Prime sporting the Energon Blade. Excuse me? What's going on right now? One Energon Blade?
Bruh.
Oh, you right. Correction. Here we have Optimus Prime sporting the dual Energon blades.
Yeah, boy.
Next up, we got Optimus Prime wielding the dual handguns here with the unmasked humanoid face on deck. Can I get a sheesh, please? Oh no, we're not done yet. Because here we have Optimus Prime sporting the Dark of the Moon triple barrel handgun. And did I forget to mention, it actually has 3 barrels. You see, we had to clear the throat and adjust the glasses for that one, because that's moderately advanced, but only moderately. Next up, we got Optimus Prime here with the hooks.
Hooks! How about a mint?
Not those hooks though, the dual Energon hooks, and they're just ready to rip some Decepticon heads in half. Oh, but you see the hypeness continues, because here we have Optimus Prime sporting the brass knuckles that he uses to punch out Soundwave's innards at the end of the Dark of the Moon movie.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Oh, and we cannot forget the piece de resistance, the shield, and the Energon battle axe. Okay, so the confidence is a little too OD. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's a little too OD, the confidence. So what we gonna do, we gonna dial it back one time, okay? But not before I reveal Jetwing Prime.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Transformers Dark of the Moon Jetwing Prime.
Oh my god!
Oh yes, and best believe Jetwing Prime is ready for battle. He comes fully equipped with the dual arm cannons, the dual engines on his back, and 4 wings. Now Jetwing Prime doesn't gain any height with the flight tech equipped, but he does gain some width, and he's actually coming in at a new width of 20 inches long from wing to wing. Now, the arm cannons that you see here are actually not 100% movie accurate. These are actually my old customized cannons that I use for my Transformers Revenge of the Fallen and previous 2007 Optimus Prime builds. However, I really like the design and they really fit well with the Jetwing Prime model concept, so I just kept them and ran with them.
Oh.
So whereas the actual movie design for the cannons is more of a triple barrel or quadruple barrel concept, mine is based off of Ironhide's cannons loosely. So there's one main barrel in the middle and it's surrounded by a bunch of smaller ones. And honestly, for me it works. Like, these cannons look just as good, if not better, than the actual movie designed cannons, so I'm completely fine with the inaccuracies. Swinging around to the back here, I absolutely love the way this jetpack came out. In order to get these smaller angled wings here, I just took some Creo pieces from the Transformers Starscream set, and then to get the engines, I took some circular turbine pieces and ran a Technic bar through them so that they could hold together. And then on top of that Technic bar that runs through the center here, I added some more plate pieces on top of it so that I could detail the outer portions of the engines themselves. And lastly, just to bring this whole structure together as one giant jetpack, I added an additional jet engine in the middle here, in between the two larger ones. And it's really just made of a bunch of cylindrical bricks and curved slopes and angled slope pieces. Now, the engines did take a couple of hours to design, but I've got to say I am so glad that I decided to go all out with these things this time around, because I neglected to do that with the version 1, but this time around they look so much more realistic, and I actually like looking at the back of Jetwing Prime here just as much as I like looking at the front because of these engines. Now, one of the last things that I really like about this Optimus Prime's jetpack here is the fact that it's a literal jetpack, because with the version 1 it wasn't really stable enough to hold as one piece, so I had to add a wing on, then an engine, then a stabilizer, and it was a whole tedious process to get this guy into Jetwing Prime mode. However, with this version I reinforced everything, so this jetpack here is literally just one entire piece that tabs onto Prime's back via 4 studs.
Wow.
And it even has these shoulder latches like it did in the movie, which sit on his inner shoulders here to hold the backpack on. Okay, you know what? Let me get Prime back into his regular mode real quick, because I've definitely made some constructional improvements to that mode as well. Now, my last 2 versions of Optimus Prime were pretty good, but they weren't perfect because I wasn't able to fit all of Optimus Prime's truck mode components into his robot mode smoothly. But with this version, that is not the case. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, we finally have a fully transformable, standless Optimus Prime on the channel.
Das Avance. Agreed, Master Say. Elite tier. Precisely.
Now, the issue that I was having with the previous 2 versions was I couldn't get the entire front nozzle of the truck to fold up cleanly and sit on the back of Prime's legs here. But as you can see, after 97 hours of build time, I finally accomplished that feat. So it splits into 2 halves, folds up, and the wheels kind of switch onto the upper part of the nozzle and sit on the back of Prime's ankles here. And interestingly enough, I actually thought I was going to run into a whole bunch of weight and stability issues by having so much of the truck on the back of Prime's legs, but it actually makes him more stable because the back portion of the leg is now reinforcing the front portion and stops Prime from falling backwards. Now, let's keep it a buck, okay? Because obviously with the nozzle of the truck on the back of Prime's legs here and all this other stuff going on at the top, the back accuracy of this build is at like -1,000, because this looks absolutely nothing like how Optimus Prime's back is supposed to look in the movie. But bro, honestly, it is so difficult building actually transformable Lego Transformers and getting them to stand up by themselves without the help of any additional supports that I just don't even worry about the back accuracy. Like, as long as the front looks good and they can stand up unassisted, I'm pretty much satisfied at that point. Now, in order to meet the second criteria of having my build stand up by themselves, I do have to design the back of them to an extent, because I couldn't just have the fully formed truck just sitting on Optimus Prime's back right here, otherwise he wouldn't be able to stand up. So there are components that I break down and flatten down and essentially smoothen out so that they won't interfere with the stability of the build. Okay, now coming back to the front of Optimus Prime here, as you can see, the wheels are not in the correct locations. However, that's not the end of the world for me. One thing that I did approve upon though that I really like is just the ab aesthetic. So with the previous Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime that I built, the abs were kind of sticking out of the chest or kind of just poking out. However, with this version, they're literally embedded inside the chest and they have more of this realistic metallic-y muscle type look, which is really accurate to how they looked in the movie. And shout out to Lego Prime Films for giving me the idea on how to design that.
My man!
Okay, I think it's about time we got into that vehicle mode, but before we do that, if you guys are interested in purchasing some instructions to some of my smaller non-transformable mocks, those are available on my Rebrickable page, and the link to that page is in the description. Okay, and now here we have D.O.T.M Optimus Prime back in his vehicle mode, complete with the trailer. Now the trailer is coming in at about 1.5 feet long, and Optimus himself is coming in at 1 foot long. So combined, these two structures take up 2.5 feet. And as you can see, they can actually barely even fit on the table. Like, the trailer has to be angled when it's connected to Optimus Prime to even be displayed as a single piece. Now, as crazy as it would have been to see, unfortunately the trailer does not transform into Optimus Prime's weapon station like it's supposed to in the movie.
Oh, man!
However, despite that being the case, it still is movie accurate in terms of detail and color. So first off, we've got some tiny bars that stick out of the underside of it, as well as the signature white and blue angled Optimus Prime stripe that's plastered on most of his trailer designs.
Nice.
Next up, we've got a nice blue trim going around the upper portion of the trailer here, as well as a blue trim going along the bottom. And just as an additional detail, I added some pieces to represent the Autobot insignia on the front portion here. Swinging around to the back here, as you can see, we've also got a fully detailed back section complete with door handles, grills, lights, and bumper details.
Hey, yo!
And just one last cool thing about the trailer is, even though it is primarily just a display piece, it is pretty hollow, so I actually can store some of Prime's weapons on the interior of it. However, since there's no movable components, I'd have to remove the tile pieces on the top portion here to get my hand in and out every time. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Bro, you built the whole trailer, you built all of Prime's weapons, you even built his jetpack. Why didn't you just build the weapon station? And put simply, I still just don't have enough pieces to build a fully formed weapon station that can scale with a 10-inch tall Optimus Prime, much less the pieces to make the trailer transform into one. It would honestly take me thousands upon thousands of additional gray slope pieces and plate pieces for me to build a weapon station that Prime could actually fit inside, because remember, he actually has to fit inside it, and at the same time it has to be wide enough to hold all of his weapons and strong enough to withstand the weight of all of them being attached at the same time. Whew. Now, theoretically, I could do it at a 5-inch scale, but let's be honest, 5-inch scale Prime is not going to go anywhere near as hard or look as good as the 12-inch Prime that we've got here. And for me, kind of the whole reason of even building Optimus Prime is so that I could get as many details as possible into him and make him look as realistic as possible. So it's really not worth the sacrifice or the rebuild at that scale just to get the weapon station in there. And just on a side note, if you guys are interested in seeing my last 2 Optimus Prime builds, I'll leave the link to those guys at the end of this video. It's actually a pretty interesting process to see how my construction improved over each version, because although they looked perfect, each version actually had its own constructional flaws. And speaking of flaws, I finally managed to fix one of the minor annoying flaws that I wasn't able to with my previous 2 Optimus Prime builds. And that is the fact that they didn't have this square stepping plate thing here that sits on the backside of Optimus Prime's oil tank. So I finally managed to learn how to get that into his transformation smoothly. And of course, if you've seen my other 2 previous Optimus Prime videos, the other major flaw was I couldn't fit all of the components of the nozzle here into Prime's robot mode smoothly. But as I said before, it's fixed this time around. And of course, it wouldn't even be fair if I ended this video off without giving you guys a glimpse of Assault Mode Prime. Oh my God.